So today, we're going to dive into a philosophy that's built on one really powerful idea, that if you want to change the world, you absolutely have to start with yourself. And this whole idea is wrapped up in a special pledge that has sparked an entire movement. Let's get into it.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with these four words. Hum badlenge, yuga badlega. Now, this is the central motto of the Yug Nirman movement. It's a phrase that promises this deep, profound connection between our own inner world and the world all around us. So, what exactly is that promise? What does it mean?
And there it is. When we transform ourselves, the trends of our times will transform. The whole philosophy is crystal clear. Real, lasting change doesn't just happen from the top down. Nope, it starts from the inside and works its way out. And you know, this isn't just some nice, hopeful saying. It's the actual foundation of a formal pledge.
That pledge is called the Yug Nirman Sat Sankalp, which you can think of as a kind of solemn vow. This is the core commitment, the very heart of what we're going to break down today.
So what this really means is that the movement's philosophy isn't just some abstract concept floating out there. The Sat Sankalpa takes that idea and turns it into a structured, personal commitment. It's about you making a conscious choice to take on the responsibility for helping build a brand new era.
The core idea here is really a clear formula for change. It all kicks off with self-reformation. Then, that individual transformation naturally starts to ripple outward, right? It builds the foundation for a better family, a better community, and then, ultimately, a better society. It's a total bottom-up approach to building a new world.
And that brings us right to the foundation of this entire philosophy, the self. The pledge basically argues that before we can even think about building anything new out in the world, we first have to rebuild ourselves from the inside out. So let's look at the steps it lays out.
Okay, so this path to self-reformation, which is detailed in pledges 2 through 4, is laid out in 3 really clear steps. It starts with mastering the body, treating it like a sacred vessel through health and self-control. Then it moves on to nurturing the mind with good thoughts and learning. And finally, it's about controlling the senses and our material things, really practicing discipline. Altogether, these 3 things form this holistic approach to mastering yourself.
So what's holding all of this self-discipline together? Well, the very first pledge sets up a spiritual anchor, a belief in an ever-present divine force, and a commitment to dharma, or, righteous principles. This is what provides the moral framework and the real purpose for all that hard work of self-transformation. All right, so once that foundation of the self is in place, the pledge then extends this transformation outward. It gives us a blueprint for how a reformed individual should then engage with society to create that collective change.
A huge part of this social blueprint, which is laid out in Pledge number 5, is this fundamental shift in how you see the world. It's about moving beyond just pure individualism and starting to see your own good as completely inseparable from the good of everyone else.
And right at the heart of this social vision, in Pledge 11, is a principle that I bet sounds pretty familiar. It resonates across pretty much every culture and all of history, the Golden Rule. By putting this universal ethic right in there, the pledge makes its philosophy instantly relatable and so powerful. But this commitment goes way beyond just, not doing harm. Pledges 6, 8, 12, and 16 really spell out the duties of an active citizen. Things like upholding a moral code, creating an environment of kindness, and fighting for equality for absolutely everyone, no matter their background. It's really about taking daily responsibility for the health of our society. Okay, so you're committed to yourself, you're committed to society, but how do you navigate all the tough choices life throws at you? Well, the pledge offers a kind of moral compass by completely redefining what greatness is and by laying out the core virtues that should guide every single one of our actions.
Pledge number 9 throws down a really radical challenge to that modern idea of winning at all costs. It demands that integrity is valued way more than success. It basically frames failure with principles as being better than any victory you get through cheating or being unfair.
And this philosophy, from Pledge 10, just completely flips our measure of greatness on its head. It argues that a person's true worth isn't found in their wealth or their status or their talents. No. Instead, it's measured purely by the quality of their character, by their righteous actions and their thoughts.
And to help us actually cultivate that righteous conduct, Pledge 7 highlights 4 key virtues. Think of these as the practical tools for living a principled life. Wisdom, so you can see the right path. Honesty, so you can walk it truthfully. Responsibility, so you own your journey. And courage, to stay on that path no matter what obstacles you face. So we've seen the focus on the self, the blueprint for society, and the virtues that act as our compass. Now,
let's tie it all back to that grand promise we started with. How does one person's commitment actually create a new era?
And this brings us to the fundamental question, right? The one that's probably been on your mind. After looking at this whole framework, it's only natural to wonder, is my personal change really enough to transform an entire era? And the pledge, in its 17th and final point, answers that question with a clear, absolute yes. It is built on the conviction that every single person is the architect of their own destiny. So when we lift ourselves up, the world doesn't just change, it has to change. It's an inevitable consequence.
And so, we come full circle, right back to where we began. Hama badlenge, yuga badlega. But now, it's more than just a motto, isn't it? It's a conclusion, it's a promise, and it's a direct challenge. It is the ultimate statement of personal responsibility. The final question really isn't whether the world can change, but whether we will choose to change it.